never read a speech, folks. I got over that a long time ago. We lost our preacher in our church, and the pulpit committee got busy looking for a new guy. They found one. Everybody liked him. He was a handsome dog, but the percentage of the congregation that was female was going up every Sunday. But he had one very bad habit. He used to read all of his sermons out of a loose-leaf notebook, get his nose down his notes, you couldn't see him. So they appointed a committee to do some creative thinking about how they could get this guy to overcome his problem. They got an idea. One Sunday, after he placed his notebook up in the pulpit, they got him out in a study on some supposed problem of the church. And while they had him out there, one of the members of the committee slipped up into the pulpit, opened up the notebook, reached in, jerked out one of the sheets, and wadded it up and stuck it in his pocket. Well, it happened that day he was preaching on the subject of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. He was going along with his nose down in his notes. He got down to the bottom of the page, and he said, and Adam said to Eve, and he turned the page, and he said, my God, there's a leaf missing. So, as Bela told you, I spent 15 years on the field in the National Football League as an official and met a lot of people, did a lot of things. My first year, I was working a game in Cleveland. Jim Brown was a fullback for Cleveland. Good football player, 6'2", ran 100 and about 9'5", tough to bring down. Cleveland's playing Dallas. Brown came through the line with the ball, and the big linebacker for Dallas, big bald guy. Incidentally, I see a lot of fellows here in varying stages of baldness. Matter of fact, there's a great reflection from Derek Oxnecker over here. Don't feel bad, Derek. They don't put marble tops on cheap furniture, I'll tell you that. Brown came through the line with the ball, and that big middle linebacker went to tackle him. When he did, he grabbed his face mask. That isn't fair, and that's why we're out there, and I threw the rag and stopped the clock. Told the referee I got number 55 on the defense, pulled on a face mask, personal foul, 15 yards. About that time, this guy jumped up, all 6'6", 260 pounds of him. He looked down at me, he said, what? I said, get back in there and play football before I bite your head off. And they're all real good guys. Very politely he said, if you do, sir, you'll have more brains in your stomach than you have in your head. So, people ask me, what was your last game in the National Football League? My last game in the National Football League was the championship game between Pittsburgh and Houston. The winner was going to go to the Super Bowl. In Pittsburgh, in Three Rivers Stadium, in January of 1979. It seems almost impossible now to think that that's, what, 32 years ago? Yep. It was a horrible day, ice freezing from the goalpost, but 4 weeks prior to that, 4 weeks before that, I had been in Pittsburgh for a late afternoon nationally televised game between Pittsburgh and the Dallas Cowboys. The score was 21-17 Pittsburgh in the third quarter when Roger Staubach, quarterbacking Dallas, got hit in the head and went down. Now, a timeout for an injured player prior to the last 2 minutes of the half is not count against the three that they guard so carefully. It's a referee's timeout. But unbeknownst to us, the scoreboard operator in Pittsburgh, a guy I'll never meet, a guy who probably thinks his job doesn't mean anything, put one timeout on the board for Dallas when there are really none. Now, we don't look at the scoreboard. We can't see the scoreboard. That's part of the criteria for working in this league. If you see the scoreboard, you don't qualify. Now we got one time out up on that scoreboard when there are really none. Staubach goes out. He comes back in. Pretty soon he gets hit again. Down he goes. We signal timeout. Charges to us. Still no charge timeouts for Dallas, but this guy puts 2 up on the scoreboard. Now with 1 minute and 50 seconds left in the football game, Dallas ball, Pittsburgh 25, still trailing by 4. Staubach called his first timeout, Dallas. We mark 1 on the game card, and this guy puts 3 on the scoreboard. Developing problem in communications. Things are not what they are in this world. They are what? What people think they are. And 55,000 people and all the players in that place thought there were 3 timeouts against Dallas. Now with 1 minute and 20 to go in the ball game, Dallas ball, Pittsburgh 20. Staubach called his second timeout. Dallas, we mark her down, and this guy puts 4 up in the scoreboard. And immediately, Chuck Noll, coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, began to holler at me, something like, pardon me. And I could not figure out what this great coach was so upset about. I didn't even turn around. Now with 20 seconds left in the ball game, Dallas ball, Pittsburgh 18, 4th down. Staubach called his third and last timeout, Dallas, and this sucker puts 5 up on that scoreboard. And Chuck Noll hollered out, turn around and talk to me, you dirty Framasamus peploomer. I turned around he's standing in that 6-foot wide white stripe area he's not supposed to be in. I said, what do you want to talk about, Coach? He said, I want to talk about how many timeouts you're giving to Dallas. I said, we're giving him 3, Coach, and you get back out of the white. He said, you've already given him 5, and he took 2 great big steps across the white, out onto the field, right in front of my nose on national television. I said, no, Coach, we've given him 3, but I'm going to give you 15 yards, and I threw the flag in the air. Oh, was that popular in Pittsburgh. They were going to name me Steel Queen. Now, Bob Frederick, our referee, had been over to tell Landry that he's just used his last time out. He turned around just in time to see my rag hit the ground. Bob came back across the field, walked off me and said, Artie, what have you done? I said, I have just stuck the Pittsburgh coach half the distance to the goal. Put that ball in the 9 and give Dallas a first down. He said, yes, and I have to walk it off. I said, that's the penalty of leadership, walk. And then the greatest thing that happened to me in a 15-year career in professional football happened on the next play. Staubach went back to pass, hit Drew Pearson in the end zone right in the numbers, and he dropped it. If he hadn't dropped that ball, I wouldn't be here today. I'd be pushing up marble in some cemetery.